Hello and welcome to another episode of CRT Sound System. Got episode 74 and we're talking about F-Zero. Here back again with Reese. Reese, how are you?
I'm incredible, no problems. How are you, Tom?
I'm doing pretty good, thanks. And we've got a returning guest, Scott. How are things?
Uh, great. Great. Things are
Scott,
lovely.
hello. Thanks
Hello.
for this impromptu
Yeah.
F-Zero sesh.
Oh yes,
Uh,
I'm happy to be here.
I was initially scheduled to miss this one because I was moving, but the movers pushed me back, pushed my time back a little bit. So I was like, well, fuck it, I'll just set up my computer and put my headset in, and Tom was like, well, we'll just grab the first person who DMs us and make them
Literally,
do
quite literally.
and make them do an episode. Um, and I don't have a lot of history with the F-Zero franchise, but I'm very excited for this one just because I think it's such an interesting soundtrack. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. Scott, what's your deal with F-Zero?
Yeah, I played F-Zero a lot growing up.
Hmm.
One of the games that I had access to. I wasn't I was a I at my house it was a Genesis household, but there were people in my family who had a Super Nintendo, and there was F-Zero there. So played it quite a bit growing up, as much as we lamented not being able to uh, play two-player in a racing game, as we would had somewhat become accustomed to, um,
Yeah.
like in arcades and such. Um, but yeah, loved it.
Hmm.
It was like too hard for me as a kid and an adult. Um, some of the
That was my experience as
uh,
well. Was that
Oh boy.
F-Zero was the make me upset game.
it gets pretty brutal pretty quickly. Like the courses are hard enough on their own without having to like, oh, a racer bumped into you from behind and then now you're sideways ping ponging like until like for 10 seconds until you blow up, and oops, that's game over. um
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
I really did. I feel that 10,000% is that
yeah.
it's a game about desperately watching my HP go down outside of my control, and then I'm just like, oh, thank God, it's the healing pit lane, and then that's over with, and I'm like, that wasn't enough HP, I'm gonna die, and then I take a turn bad, and the wall kills me.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, I like it for I mean, it's arguably a glorified tech demo for
Yeah.
like mode
Yeah.
7 and the sound capabilities of the system. Um and I mean, what a spectacular tech demo it is. Like,
Oh, right.
one of my favorite
Yeah.
glorified tech demos as games that
Hmm.
is out there. Other notable favorites being like Pilot Wings and I guess like Fantavision. Uh,
Ooh,
um,
Fantavision. That's a future episode for sure.
Oh God, I can't even get into fan division.
um, but yeah, I mean, the whole game is really just a sprite rotating somewhat in place across a giant image that's being like skewed and
Yeah,
rotated.
it's really showing off the sprite scaling abilities of
Yeah,
the Super Nintendo. Like, yeah.
but yeah, it it starts off like not too bad, and then yeah, it really kicks your teeth in pretty soon. You really need to know
Yeah, once you start
all of
getting
the
to like the
tracks,
second
and
and third cups, it's
Hmm.
yeah.
yeah, you really need to know all of the tracks, and then even then, there's just like a chance that you'll get unlucky because like a path you have to take, like there's just like, oh, some person who's not racing is there
Yeah.
in your way, like for some reason, or like someone bumps you from behind, and it's you're doing everything right, but uh yeah, it's a toughie.
The most, I think, key thing about F-Zero in 2025 as well is that it surpasses even the Silent Hill fandom in being the most beleaguered fans of in all of video games. Like I read so many comments that were just like, I hope they bring it back. I hope F-Zero 99 is good. And it's just like, it's not like I don't want a good F-Zero game, but it feels just like all efforts go into Mario Kart, and then sometimes there's a little left over for F-Zero. And it seems like there's not the kind of nostalgic love for it as the other big Nintendo franchises. At least in my experience, I've just heard so many people, like even recently before we did this episode in 2025, just be like, "Fuck F-Zero. Why do we fucking still countenance this bullshit?"
Wow.
Northernline had a really funny rant about it. And like, I don't know if that's necessarily true. I haven't like sat down and reevaluated the franchise, but I do feel like everybody on Earth is hitting F-Zero fans with hammers.
Well, we are getting a Kirby Air Ride, a new Kirby Air Ride before we're getting a new F-Zero. So, because that,
Yeah, I think Kirby deserves it more.
but I mean, I mean, I've played a couple of the F-Zero games on the GBA.
Mhm.
Again, they're also hard. Um,
They're hard, but not as good as this one. Annoying.
yeah,
So
Yeah,
it's like
I mean, there's like there's two. I can't remember exactly how many. There's two or three that didn't make their way stateside that were only released in
there
Japan, I think.
was, what was it? Maximum Velocity GP Climax,
I can't, but
and then
one of them has
Legend.
like a more fully fleshed out like actual story mode and
Because yeah,
stuff.
there's one that's based on the F-Zero
Right,
anime,
right.
and
And
then there's two that are just sequels to,
right,
or like,
that are
yeah,
just more like back to the sort of arcade stuff. And
yeah,
yeah, I've always wanted to spend some time with that one that had like a bit of a meatier like storyline to see, you know, if that sort of changes things other than just being like, wow, this is brutal. Like, it changes the stakes a little bit. But I mean these days, honestly, like, yeah, I mean Captain Falcon and the F-Zero crew are way more known for Smash and like have more
yeah,
probably Smash appearances than F-Zero appearances at this point.
yeah,
I
absolutely.
would not be surprised if there's a sizable amount of people who are unaware that Captain Falcon is a race driver
Oh,
for
yeah.
first and foremost.
Unless they've read bios and after like the capsule machine gave them a little Captain Falcon figurine or something.
These fans can't read.
It's a source of like endless frustration to me that like of all the series that like Nintendo brought into the Smash universe, Fire Emblem gets to have 500 fucking games and F-Zero gets fuck all. You get 2 tracks in a Mario Kart game. That's the only F-Zero you're getting for 20 years. Piss off.
I love the F-Zero
Well,
tracks.
And they're great. Oh, they're
you
The
will be able to
really, really
levels.
play
good.
the F-Zero GameCube game on the Switch too. So there's that. How
I
about
will be
that? There you
fucking
go.
day one playing that shit for
That's
sure.
Which one is that?
GX? Is that
Uh,
GX?
GX, yeah,
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm surprised
yeah.
that doesn't have a name in every
Source
different
of
locale.
one of the best fucking copy pastas of all time.
I I could not play the N64 F-Zero and the GameCube F-Zero were both just like this. It was the same problem with like Wipeout that I had. I'm just like, I mean, I love Wipeout, but this is like actually just too fast for me, and I don't have the reaction time to like see what's happening and respond to it.
Yeah,
uh,
I I
they're tough.
remember I remember loving the 64 vibe and soundtrack, and just like not being able to play it for more than 2 minutes without getting too annoyed to put it down. Like, I've gone back to the 64 soundtrack, maybe even more than the OG, um, just because I think that it's a fun metal album. But
Mm,
yeah, I mean,
I
of anything that like, I mean, of the original game of I mean, I can say as many negative things as I want to about it, but I can't say anything negative about the soundtrack because it is flawless. Like,
yeah,
it is
it's
just
incredibly
incredible.
good. Yeah. And it, it, it speaks
100%.
to how good it is that like throughout all the other games, like they keep bringing those themes back. Um, and they keep remixing them, and everybody loves to hear a new version of Big Blue, or Mute City. I
Yeah.
think for me, because I played in Europe, where things are like, obviously I've complained in the past about games being slower in Europe, but I
Oh,
think it was actually to my
yes.
advantage that
Yeah.
that at least F-Zero, the original F-Zero, was that little bit slower. I don't know if F-Zero X was slower. I think that still had I think that was still full FPS or something.
Hmm.
But certainly for the original, I remember the first time I played an American copy, and I was like, "Oh God, this game!" Because I was pretty decent at it. I could beat the whole game, and I wasn't sure if it was just like
Mm.
me being better at games when I was younger, or just like me, or just that difference in speed making that much of a difference.
You were better at
Um,
games. We all know
yeah,
it.
and I do remember it was like that was my first experience with a Super Nintendo was when I went up to Dublin, with my dad for some reason, and went to a game shop, and they had a little an NC, or a Super Nintendo stall set up, and it had just come out, or it was just about to come out, and I was like, I didn't get it at the time, because for anyone who doesn't remember, this was it was a launch game on the SNES.
Mhm.
Um, so like, all I wanted was Mario. I was just fully locked in on getting Mario with my Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
But then a few years later, my mother bought a copy for me, coming home from Spain. She bought it in the airport back when airports sold things like video games. Um, and it was like €20, and she just brought, or well, £20 at the time. And she came home with it, and that was when I really, really got into it. It's like 3 or 4 years later, and that was when I was like super into F-Zero at that point, and like got into soundtrack in a big way.
It was a while before I got my SNES, and so I primarily interacted with it through my cousin, who had 5 games, and I
Hmm.
remember it being it was like Mario, the Simpsons Krusty game, which we played more than anything else. I don't know why. I have like
It-
I'll have nightmares about that game till my dying day, and F-Zero. And we played it, and he really wanted to play a lot of F-Zero as well. And I was really frustrated with it, but it was really fucking cool. And it was like very different. You didn't realize it was a tech demo yet. And the soundtrack really added to that mystique. And I think the one thing, I think if anything, what Big Blue and Mute City does is like a disservice to them being the biggest games. It doesn't really give you the kind of, I think, breadth of vibes that the F
Yeah.
Zero
That's
soundtrack can give you.
fair.
I think that they're and I think it is a really varied, cool soundtrack for being sort of like a dialed in SNES thing. And like re-listening to it, I was just like reminded, like Silence, White Land, which
Mm.
name I don't
Oh yeah.
like, um,
What about
Deathwind,
Whiteland 2? What about Whiteland 2?
White Land 2. I don't know. Well, I mean, Donald Trump's trying to bring South Africa back, so we'll see.
Yeah, no, I was actually sort of like compelled. I mean, y all of the what I was like going back and listening to the music, and I was like thinking of just like how much each of the different songs very much encapsulate like the vibes of the track that they're on.
Mhm.
Um,
Hmm.
and like yeah, F-Zero starts off like futuristic like cityscapes, but then like a bunch of them are just like in remote weird environmental settings, and like yeah, the music gets away from like the sort of um like Big Blue, Mute City sort of like more typical songs that people think of.
Yeah.
and you get all different kinds of like vibes. The the thing that like the beginning of Port City is like is like both like uh um it's like it's like dark and kind of foreboding and like
Mm.
perfectly so because like the first time you do it you're probably gonna die because,
'Cause you
because
gotta
if
do
you
that
miss
jump.
the first jump over the slow patch you're not making the jump over the kill zone.
Yeah, you gotta
And it
have
just
that
like
speed.
starts off with this foreboding thing and you're like it's kind of dark and slow and then when you're like oh shit like
Yeah, I do think that that's probably one thing that this game's soundtrack has over the other games is that there's definitely more of a breadth of like of styles and vibes in it. Like the X soundtrack is very heavy metal, very rock based, even though it's using a lot of the same sort of music and same compositions. And then like AX and GX have like a ton of really good music from like a lot of Namco's best guys at doing like the sort of that electronic trancey kind of sound, and there's a lot of that to it as well. But it's very there's a sameness to it that isn't really present in this one. Like this one is such a like again a showcase of the power of the Super Nintendo sound chip. And yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. I think we'll jump into some music and then we'll come back and chat a bit more. So the first block of tracks I've got Mute City, Port Town, Death Wind, and Sand Ocean. Before we go ahead, I do want to talk about the composers for this game because, interestingly enough, so there's two composers. The first track we had, which is Big Blue, was done by Naoto Ishida, and then every other track is by Yumiko Kanki. Neither of whom seem to have done anything else other than an F-Zero game and a couple of early Super Nintendo games. So Naoto Ishida did F-Zero and F-Zero maximum velocity on the GBA. And then Yumiko Kanki did some golf game for the NES, Tetris and Dr. Mario, and Star Fox 2. And that's it. And there's no other credits for either of them as far as I can find. Which is like a lot of them have stuff credited later if you go to VGMDB, but mostly it's just as the composers of these games, just sort of either being rearranged or covered or whatever.
Yeah,
So
I'm sure that there's a bunch of Smash credits throughout the
yeah, a
ages.
lot of Smash Brothers credits. Every guitar, or sorry, every a video game cover band that's ever existed has done
Yeah.
probably Mute City and Big Blue. It's just so their names do crop up as sort of credits, but like as near as I can tell, neither of them worked in anything else. Which even for this industry is at the time is kind of odd. Like usually, sort of your people who were doing the music at this time are often people who would end up either going on to do a lot of stuff or would just stick working with Nintendo or whatever other company sort of as a lifer. So it's just sort of interesting to see these people do this and then sort of disappear off the face of the earth.
Yeah, I
Cool.
mean, this is just so breakthrough that you'd imagine that at the very least they get lured into a couple of more projects than
Yeah.
that. But I have not done much research for this one. Is there any hints to what they're up to now? Did they they make
No, I
their
couldn't
money
find
and
an
they're just
interview. I couldn't yeah, it's just there's nothing that I could find. Do you know anything, Scott?
No, I'm not. Unfortunately, I'm not super familiar with any of the. I mean, the only thing I could think of maybe is that they were like maybe more traditional composers that Nintendo was like, "Hey, could you like write us some music?"
Mhm.
But I mean, this is all pure conjecture and assumption.
Yeah, it's all
Um,
speculation that we have,
but
really.
yeah, but yeah, I mean, like you said, a lot of people in the industry at this time were like lifers that were, part of like the house band or whatever, and like basically worked at one place forever, or they had their, style and they were, brought in whatever by all these different places to do their thing. It's kind of somewhat atypical to see someone just pop up especially for something like F-Zero and then vanish. So
Yeah,
that
and
was I
like
was
I
like
couldn't even
maybe
see
they
that
were
they'd like
brought
moved
in
into
for
doing
it.
anime or movie soundtracks or something else.
Yeah.
Yeah, like so because sometimes that's a thing you see where people are sort of
Mhm.
they'll stay composing music and sort of do again do anime or movies or something. But yeah, just and like with bloody the first guy Naoto Ishida, it is sort of interesting that like his first credit was F-Zero 1991, and then literally 10 years later, Maximum Velocity, and that's it. And again, like it's like it's so hard to verify information. A lot of stuff is so hard to sort of fully verify. So, for all we know, he's done a bunch of other soundtracks. They've both done a bunch of other soundtracks. They're just not credited properly on them, or
Yeah.
Right.
they're
Yeah.
just not credited at all on them.
That's always true.
So like we don't know for sure, but it is sort of it is interesting.
I feel like the default is some combination of joined a non Nintendo company that just like programmed composition software and never got any
Yeah.
actual credits, and or just has like a very small jazz band that they dedicate their entire fucking life to, and that's the only thing they care about.
Yeah, for sure.
They
That's
made
probably
their
something we'll get
Nintendo.
into later is the jazz fusion of this soundtrack as well, actually, because
Yeah,
that's
they made their
definitely something.
So they made their Nintendo money, and now they can just do their jazz project for the rest of their life.
10,000%. That's our loss.
Yeah,
Hopefully one of the listeners might know, or I'm sure we will explore deeper into the F-Zero soundtracks at some point in our lives, in the podcast lives, and I hope that can be dug up at some point.
yeah, I'd be really curious if there's any more to it, but if nothing else, they left us this fucking amazing soundtrack that, like, literally 30 years later, I'm still listening to. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's when I come back to, and like it got pretty much just ported straight over for F-Zero 99. Like there's pretty much no difference near as I can tell between the 99 soundtrack and this. There's a couple of new tracks, I believe, but I haven't played enough of F-Zero 99 yet. Have you played much of F-Zero 99, Scott?
I have played none of F-Zero 99.
Yeah. I'm not sure how much I love the concept. I really liked Tetris 99.
Yeah, I played a lot of Tetris 99. I played even more of the Super Mario Bros. 99 because, like, I can that for me was the most. I can run through worlds 1-1, 1-2, 1-3, 1-4 just forever, like
Yeah.
just infinitely. And I'm just like, this doesn't matter how many Goombas there are. I can just keep on going. I was having so much fun in that game. But that was really the only one that appealed to me, unfortunately.
Yeah. No, it's just like it's too chaotic at the start of every race, and like I realize that's the point, but I do sort of like the solitude of F-Zero to a degree. Like you actually mentioned it early on that like it was unique that there was no multiplayer in this game. And I kind of like that that's the case. Like again, there is a sense of solitude in this game that I really really enjoy. It's one of those things that I will just sort of sometimes just put it into my SNES and just turn it on and just sit quietly and just listen to the music while I do a few races. That is something I genuinely enjoy, and I think the chaos of it is more suited to F-Zero X. So maybe hopefully they'll do an F-Zero X 99 because I feel like F-Zero X has like the combat stuff and it has the larger car, like it's got like 30 cars per race already as part of it. So like I feel like it feels more in line with that game than it does with the original F-Zero to me.
Yeah, I feel like the 99 concept, I haven't played F-Zero 99, but compared to the other ones, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the other ones had like there was a single player focus, but the multiplayer chaos was there on the edges and was made this tried and true single player game a lot more engaging because like with Tetris you're like targeting people and you have these strategies for how to get number one, and you could get pretty far by just playing Tetris, but you could like analyze and knock people out. I didn't get super far into it, but it was an interesting concept.
Yeah.
F-Zero 99 feels like a GTA 5 race or something, where it's just like there's just a lot of people and it's chaos and I don't know, and there's nothing that really stood out to me about it.
Yeah, I mean the others are sort of like not asynchronous because you're playing at the same time, but like you're not directly you're not
There's no
directly
direct
interacting.
competition.
Yeah, like what was Pac-Man the first one? I don't remember.
But there was there a Pac-Man 99?
I thought there was a Pac-Man 90. Or am I
I
now?
seem to recall a Pac-Man 99. You could have just incepted into
Oh
into
yeah,
my
am I
brain right
just
here,
making
right
things
now.
up now? Oh,
I
jeez.
think
Oh,
the
no.
first one was Tetris 99.
That's the
Okay.
first one I
Yeah, but
remember.
but like you said, yeah, but and Mario was the same way. Was that you see the ghosts of the other people playing and things like that, and they do things that
that
you
can
know
affect you, sort
that
of.
can affect you.
Yeah.
I mean, like old school, multiplayer Tetris, like in Tetris 99, but expanded out, to 99 people.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's kind of bizarre that in F-Zero, is it just like 99 people on a single course and you can all bump into each other?
Yeah, it
And
starts you off on like a giant platform essentially that like
yeah, that's kind of crazy.
everybody like and then it just sort of as the race goes on, you just lose people who either crash out or I think there's maybe checkpoints as well where like a certain like same as in sort of in regular race where like if you're below a certain rank
right, you
at
lose,
a checkpoint you're out as well, so like but like there's that initial basically just a giant melee of everybody because you have just this giant platform that everyone starts on and then there's a jump into the actual race, which is it's a cool little concept the way it starts off, but like again I'm not sure it really works for what F-Zero is. But at the same time, I'm glad it exists because as an F-Zero fan, as Reese mentioned, we have not been eating well. So any fucking scrap we get off the table is worth fucking is worth looking into. Like,
I would like to report that Pac-Man 99 is real, and they did take it offline, so you can't.
I'm glad my brain is not just hallucinating things into my head.
Fair enough.
All right, maybe a little bit more music.
Yeah, I think maybe, yeah. So yeah, we've got Silence, Red Canyon, White Land 1 and 2, sorry Reese, and Firefield. it's funny you both mentioned sort of not really recognizing some of those later ones. Just yeah, like just because of the game's difficulty, I think maybe the early tracks are probably more iconic. Just through pure like just those are the ones you'll hear most often. It could
For
be
sure.
quite difficult getting to Whiteland 2 and even finishing Whiteland 2 in some places. And like Firefield being the last map on the King Cup, I think, is just like, yeah. I suppose if you're not playing on PAL or if you're just not good at the game, you're not going to hear those tracks very often.
No, and I was never a diehard F-Zero head. I don't know if I ever actually owned it myself. I think it was something I played a lot with my cousin, who we would go up to grandma's house in the summer and spend like 3 months there. So that's sort
Yeah.
of my experience. And then I would come back and I'd just be like, finally I can play Final Fantasy again without being insulted.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, I played the original a lot growing up. I had the first one for the GBA, but it was like I played it at home a lot, and which meant like I had two brothers and parents around, which meant playing it silent always, or like in the car, which meant playing it silent. So I actually like don't really remember the music from that one at all, like thinking back to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean the Super Nintendo one I played a lot, and I was saying that like there were some songs like it's odd because the practice in that game doesn't. I'm not sure if it presents you with more tracks if you've like progressed into the game, but when you start off, you only have like 7 tracks available, and there's definitely more than that in the game. Um, so I'm not quite sure how that works. So I was like playing
Oh,
through that, and then you
I
know,
was just gonna say there's no practicing in Whiteland.
oh, um, so when I went to go listen to the music, yeah, I was like looking at some of them, and I was like, oh, I don't recognize this, and then I was listening to it and being like, I'm not sure. Oh wait, no, I do know this one, and then being like, oh. Just hearing this stresses me out. So it's just like the only time I've ever heard this is like I have no cars or continues left, and it's like the farthest I've ever made it, and oh, I really don't want to lose. Oh, I lost. But yeah, I don't think I probably just heard the fire one just a handful of times. I've definitely never finished the game. So
Yeah. Those last few can be extremely tough. Yeah. One thing I wanted to jump back to is sort of we mentioned it briefly at the start is just sort of the sprite rotation, and I was just looking at some of the stages, like the background art in this game is so good.
oh yeah.
Like it's quite minimalistic in a lot of ways, but it's like it's so evocative of these sort of like alien landscapes and these sort of it's got a very sort of like 70s sci-fi painted artwork kind of vibe to it.
Yeah.
You
They,
know, just like go on.
no, I was just gonna say in general they do a lot of everything's like pretty minimal, but there's a lot of these like little niceties and touches that really stand out in the visuals and stuff. It's like these tricks that make what it like when you deconstruct it, it's very very simple and basic, but combining all of these things together makes for a really compelling experience where like just turning like the vehicle a little bit left and right, like you see the flaps of your vehicle corresponding to the directions as you do it, and like the longer you do it the more they go. You also see like your little guy inside the car, like he's leaning too, like along with it as you turn, and like if you
Yeah.
turn too sharply, like your car starts like touching the ground and it sparks up a bit, and like there's just like all these little touches that like, and then if you without all of the stuff together it's like not compelling, but the way that they manage to like put all these smoke and mirrors together just is just a wonderful composition.
Yeah, 100%. I don't think I would have been able to articulate it, Tom, but you having said it, I agree with you 400,000% that the backgrounds and like watching them turn is really like where the magic happens in that game. Like I realized when you said that most of my memories of that game that I like pull back to is like this distant cityscape with like this kind of like sci-fi skyline, and there's like neon like lights indicating streets or something, and it
Yeah.
just and it just like puts you in the world immediately, and just kind of like the things like Scott mentioned, like the way that the cars move and the design, and like Captain Falcon is like not an interesting character, but it fits well to like create that that world and kind of like these broad strokes, which is all you need for the racing game for the Super Nintendo. And you're like, one of the racers is an alien. You're like, oh my god, that's crazy. What's his story? You'll never know. It's F-Zero. And
They
I
do
don't
have
know. It's really cool.
there's a comic in the manual, if I recall, that does give the backstory for the four racers, but mostly is interested in Falcon.
I think
I'm sure.
the character select has, I think it has those like paragraphs on the right, like
Hmm.
before it shows the like acceleration graph for each. I feel like there's a little bit of text in there, or maybe
I
maybe I'm
don't think
misremembering.
so. Maybe not
Oh,
not in the Super Nintendo game. Maybe in like the GBA or
maybe I
something.
might
But
be
I
misremembering.
do know that there's like a lot of games of its vintage. A lot of the story was just shunted off into the
Oh yeah,
manual.
yeah.
And like then a lot of these characters then got much more sort of backstory in F-Zero X and in particular in GX AX.
Yeah.
They really try to fill them out. Um,
Wha-
but yeah,
One
like
thing I did.
again, it's just. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, one thing I did want to say still about the visuals is like the landscapes, like not the backgrounds, like the ones that you're actually driving on. Um,
Mm,
it's odd that they most of the time you're going so fast that it kind of obscures, or I guess obfuscates the very rudimentary nature of like what's actually like that it's just a flat image. Um,
yeah,
like they've done such a good job with the artwork of everything that's like around the road, um, that
yeah,
as you're flying by, it's super compelling, and like convincing that you're actually going through the cityscape until until you fly off the track, um, and and like you blow up, and it like gives you this little sort of aerial view of it and shows it, and you're like, oh, this is just a picture, like
yeah,
like it breaks the illusion for like just a quick second, because
yeah.
it's not just the static image. They have a lot of these little animations and stuff going on top that make it
Mm.
seem like, oh, there's like traffic going on or
You can see
movement in
traffic in
these
New
other
City and
places.
stuff.
And
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, it makes the places come to life, but once you get that like zoomed out sort of static shot of it, it kind of falls apart a little bit because like you just see behind the curtain just a little too much. But then it fades to black and it's gone. But
yeah.
um, I just remember that the first time that happened, I was like, "Oh, wait, like, like that's what this is." Oh,
Yeah, and we haven't really mentioned it, but like the sense of speed in this game is insane. Like how they managed to get this so fast, and
yeah,
have it feel as fast as it is. But like and like it's a difficult game to control, but I don't think it ever feels like it's um that like it's badly designed in the sense that like it's too fast for a human to possibly react to. Like it's as I say, as difficult as this game is, it is very playable. But they
Yeah.
managed to just get the
yeah,
sense of speed. Just they really tuned it really well, and I feel like that's hard to do, even in a modern racing game,
yeah.
like let alone something from 1991. So like
Es-
it's
Especially
really
a launch
impressive.
title, like
Mm,
a launch title. I mean, obviously, it's Nintendo. They know their hardware, and this was, to show off the technical proficiencies of it. But the game, like, the races, like you said, they just move fast on their own, and then
Mhm.
sometimes you'll also hit like a speed thing on the ground, or you'll get a speed, and it'll go even faster, and you're like, that's the only time the game sometimes truly feels uncontrollable is when you
Yeah.
like hit a speed thing, or use your every lap you get like a speed one time use speed thing that builds up. So but
Yeah.
yeah, like those are the only times that the game truly feels uncontrollable, but you're kind of that's a risk reward situation.
Oh yeah, it
uh
feels great
Yeah.
when you hit them, even though if
it
you like die
oh it's
right
amazing.
after that,
It's just I
you're
was
just like,
just like,
thank
I mean, I
God
was
I died. I died how I lived, going fast.
yeah, it's yeah, you hit it, and then like someone bumps you and you skid, and then boom 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 boom, and then you hit the ramp, and then you just go completely careening
Yeah, you just
off,
start
and you're like, I
pinballing
got
off
no
the
chances.
edges. Yeah.
The racetrack barriers on the side, like the way those sort of like lose cohesion as you
Yeah.
start going fast, it does make you feel like you're going really fast. And the difficulty in the game is not that you feel like you're totally out of control. In those, it feels like it's doable, but then they just throw this shit at you
Yeah.
that you're just like, I don't know how to manage so many hairpins turns. I don't know
Yeah.
how to manage my HP for the entire fucking Grand Prix so I don't die. It's stuff like that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean the brake is your brake is very strong, and there's you're not driving, so there's no traction, so you can brake and turn and lean, and you can't skid out or anything. So
Hmm.
like yeah, you can accelerate as hard as you want, you can decelerate as hard as you want, and you can turn like kind of sharply by tapping, or sharply or by holding it in, or really sharply by holding it in and holding in the shoulder button. They give you a lot of control over the vehicle, and then yeah, it's all wrapped in this risk reward of go as fast as you can because you're trying to win, but you're introducing more danger into it, and you're going to start bouncing off of stuff. You're going to lose life. How riskily can I drive
Hmm.
until I get around to the next patch of healing? uh, you know, um, it creates this whole tension on its own, just between like, yeah, how aggressively do I want to try to drive? How safely can I play it? What position
Mm.
am I in? Also, because you have to, like we were saying before, there's an increasing rank that you have to be in for each lap, otherwise you fail.
Yeah.
So there's just all of these sort of things that are just coming together to sort of keep this pressure and balance the risk reward of how aggressive do I need to be, or how aggressively can I drive right now.
Yeah.
I'm sure a big element of why I struggled with the game is I was like, you know who doesn't slow down? Reese. That's right. We are not
It's
breaking here. We are
no,
we are
yeah, it's
going to
not Mario
accelerate to
Kart.
our death.
It's it's not Mario Kart. Well, I should qualify. It's not Mario Kart 150cc and down. Because yeah, that's all
Yeah.
gas, no brakes, just drifting,
Hmm.
everything. Um,
Yeah. It's
Over
definitely closer to
150cc,
250cc.
then you do actually need to start braking, which I was like, whoa, this is weird. Braking in Mario
Yeah.
Kart.
Breaking in Mario Kart was
Um,
that took us some adjusting.
Yeah. But yeah, no, F-Zero is very much like you need to be like slamming on the gas and slamming on the brake constantly,
Yeah.
going around
And
turns, because
like
otherwise you'll be ping-ponging.
and you have to use your shoulder buttons as well, which I love. Like it is part of how you turn. Like, and again, it feels like it gives such a physicality
And
to actually turning in this game that it's not just you're steering the steering wheel. You're sort of like you're having to lean into it. Like,
well, and sometimes lean out of it, and
mm,
like, because sometimes you're trying to make turns, and then there's an obstacle in your turn, or
yeah, and you
one of
can
the
make some
tracks
little
has
yeah,
wind. Some of the tracks have magnets. Some of the tracks have obstacles. So sometimes you're turning, and then you need to lean to like adjust to get out of the way of something.
yeah,
So they give you a lot of, I mean, not a lot of tools, but the tools that they give you, you have such control over the
mm,
vehicle that they're like, okay, better be nimble. Like,
yeah. And again, all in service of just sort of showing how the controller works. Like it's essentially just a tutorial for your Super Nintendo controller. Like, here's what shoulder buttons do. Go hog wild.
It does, I think, because you have gas, brake. I guess it's missing one of the face buttons. I guess doesn't do anything
Yeah,
because you just have gas, brake, and then the turbo activate.
and
But then you
turbo.
have
Yeah,
lean left, lean right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even then, like when you when you hit a jump, you can pitch your car up and down to to make the jump last longer or to hit the ground sooner after you go in the air. Like
So
there's
you don't go off
you
the
know,
track.
it's yeah, almost certainly going off the track, but yeah. But it's just one of those things. It's like yeah, it's really showing off everything in the system. Yeah, absolute. I love this game. I like. Again, for as simple as it is, I think it's the best F-Zero game. I do enjoy the later ones, but I think they get a little bit too sort of too intricate, and too focused on speed over anything
Very
else.
twitch reflexy.
Yeah.
What I would I mean, this is I guess I should maybe the response would be like I should learn to do this myself. But my plea would be to the ROM hacking community would be make some crazy way that we can do 2-player F-Zero. And maybe I should have done my research because maybe this even exists already.
There's a lot of ROM hacks of F-Zero.
Well, I assume there's a lot of
well
ROM hacks for F-Zero already.
Yeah.
But
There's
yeah, I
some-
mean, like
yeah.
a smooth, just one-on-one F-Zero. That would be. I should check
Yeah.
and see. I should do research before I just say things. No, this is the internet. Who cares?
Yeah,
I have to
Yeah,
say whatever
exactly.
I want. This doesn't exist. Someone should make it. I don't know about it, so it's not real.
Exactly. Don't let anyone tell you different.
Exactly. If it's already been made, make it again.
Or take it and claim it as my. I made this.
No, well, I don't want to. I don't want to attract that much ire from F-Zero.
No, I don't. I don't.
They'll,
I don't.
they'll,
endorse- I don't
they will
endorse
hit
IP
us
theft.
with baseball bats.
They've got nothing better to do.
Yeah.
I do not endorse IP theft. I do not endorse IP theft.
I do.
Oh.
I mean, I do endorse IP theft, but the F-Zero modding community, I do not wish to anger.
Exactly.
Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, there you go.
I would agree with that. But yeah, speaking of IP, I think it's time to go to Smash Brothers for a little while. So
Let's go.
Yeah, like we mentioned it how like this game is probably best known as being the source of Captain Falcon from Smash Brothers, and he's probably better known from that series than he is from this. And as part of that, a lot of the Smash games have tracks and or not tracks, but stages based on tracks from the series, and a lot of very good remixes.
Really
pretty
good.
much everything I pulled from this soundtrack is from the Smash Brothers Ultimate soundtrack. And like yeah, it's we've talked about, I suppose, about Smash Ultimate being a museum of video games.
Yeah.
As much as it is a video game itself. So like yeah, it's in having all of these like there's tracks from Melee and 3DS Wii U version, there's tracks from Brawl. All of them are different, but like yeah, it's just it is really really good. So we'll get some tracks from the from Smash Brothers, I should say.
I do
Were you
have
going
a
to say
quick
something, Scott?
update.
Sorry.
I do have a quick
Go ahead.
update. I'm looking at Zophar's domain right now. Updated January 23rd, 2009 is F-Zero versus
Nice.
an
Yeah.
emulator that has multiplayer capability to the game F-Zero. It's apparently a custom bundle of emulator and ROM hack that lets you
Interesting.
play multiplayer locally or online. This is from 2009.
Interesting.
So-
Okay.
Thank you, Barack Obama.
Wow, that's a while ago.
Yeah.
Should get on
Well, there you have
trying
it.
something from when I was still in college.
Yeah. um, so yeah. Oh, and I suppose worth mentioning, a lot of these remixes are by some pretty big names in video game music, just because of how the Smash Ultimate and so forth soundtracks were put together, as just sort of bringing together composers with soundtracks and letting them sort of do as they will. So the first track we have is Mute City from the 3DS/Wii U version, arranged by Kenji Ito. Then we have Big Blue from Smash Bros. Melee, arranged by Hirokazu Ando, and then we have an F-Zero medley by the GOAT Takenobu Mitsuyoshi.
The King's Majesty, rocker in the Silk City. War with enemies, ride and win with no pity. Once more the sea spread itself before us. Towering remarks pierce the heavens above us. The light of on the burning horizon. The monsters of F-Zero warp in Tarion. Fight to let it be torn out of the speed of sound. Rise and the fight me back, running by the gods. F-Zero. Let's ride out on the dangerous rocket and skyscrapers.
What a delight!
Incredible.
Mitsuyoshi just brings such an energy every time he performs. Like, nobody enjoys singing more than he does. Like, go on YouTube and watch some videos of him just doing his songs live, and like he is having the best fucking time of his life.
God, that is incredible. So that's does that play in one of the stages in?
I think it's
Smash
just
Brothers Infinite?
it's an alternate stage. Yeah, this like every stage has like a bunch of alternate tracks that you can select from.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like they included so much stuff in Ultimate, like for every stage in a game, like or in a series, like they'll have a bunch of different options. There'll be like classic tracks and remixes and then just like completely new things. And again, they just brought in people from all over the world of video game music to just put their unique stamps on stuff. It's such a good. Again, like a museum of video games in every sense.
It's really incredible. I feel like even though I don't have anybody to play Smash with, I bought that full Nintendo ass price and I don't regret it just because I just feel like I'm digging through so fucking much that's cool.
Yeah.
We were talking about our Smash Brothers experience during the songs. And I'd like to share that for me and my friends, we were always all items on, all stage random, and I had a very unpleasant shock one day when I went to like a real Smash player's house and just got like taken apart on Final Destination with like no items, and I'm like, oh, ice climbers aren't actually very good in this situation, as like probably Fox or something just like ripped off my jaw. And I don't know, that is just always incredibly funny to me. Is that experience of being like, oh, they are for real, because obviously, like, I get it. It has its own kind of mechanics, and that's the way more people enjoy playing. But like, I didn't understand that. I was like, oh, why wouldn't you just play a real fighting game? Like, why aren't we playing Street Fighter 3 or something if we want to play a real fighting game? But I don't know. That's Smash for you, a well trodden ground.
Yeah. I don't think that's yeah. Yeah, no, we depending on whose house you went to, we all had different house rules, but we had definitely like stuff like poke floats, as I mentioned, and the F-Zero stages unfortunately did get turned off quite a lot. I think Mute City was usually fine, but Big Blue was a no. But like, yeah, and then
getting across the road as they desperately tried to get back onto the platform.
Yeah. And we did have one or two people who were the Final Destination no items Fox only types as well. But again, we stuck to whatever house rules people had, so nobody got too annoyed if we went to somebody's house to play, because there was an agreement. And again,
mandating.
Like, if there was. Oh, go ahead.
No. So mandating foxes, that's
I don't think anybody ever did that. That was just like that was
that's
just that one
definitely
meme.
a step too far. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just that Fox happened to be like one of the most popular characters, I think. So
Well, I mean,
Um,
he's like him and Falco are like the kind of like the melee characters that you play
yeah,
as.
yeah. I mean, I did play a lot of Fox, so like I can't I can't say too much about it, but like yeah, there was um but like even in like my friend's house where there was like a Final Destination no items thing, like we would pick any possible characters. Like there was
Yeah.
we would often just do like random characters. So like you got a lot of silliness even with that as well.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, the last thing I want to talk about so is the F-Zero jazz fusion cover album. I don't know if either of you are familiar with this album.
No.
No, I'm not.
Okay. Yeah, so it was released pretty much in the early 90s. Yeah, it was like a long 1992, so like a year after the game came out. So it was composed and performed, or arranged and performed, I should say, by PeeWee Hill and Michiko Hill. So Michiko Hill was like a Japanese musician, and PeeWee Hill was like, I think he was American, and he moved over to Japan. And however they ended up getting involved in this like jazz fusion cover album of F-Zero, I don't know, but it's amazing. Back in the old days of GameMP3s.com, this was the first F-Zero soundtrack that I downloaded off there, without realizing that it wasn't actually the F-Zero soundtrack, that it was an arranged soundtrack. So when I like downloaded and brought it home, and because at the time I would download stuff at the computer labs in college and put them onto to zip drives, and
Yes.
then bring
Zip
them home
disk.
to my computer. The zip discs were, yeah. But I'd bring them home because I had no internet connection at home at the time. So I would do like all my downloading onto like a bunch of zip disks, and then like because they had like a T1 connection, which in 2001 was absolutely insane.
Yeah.
So I would just like download all of the shit off GameMP3s.net and bring it home. And then like I remember getting home with this and being like, hell yeah, I'm gonna listen to some F-Zero, and being like, what the fuck is this? But also loving it.
Wait, I have a question though. PeeWee Hill, Michiko Hill, that's just coincidentally they have two people?
Oh,
with
they're a
the-
married couple.
Oh, okay. I thought
Yeah,
you made it. The way you said it is like these are two unrelated people who came together to work on this with the last name Hill.
No, they're a married couple, I
Okay,
believe. Yeah,
that makes more sense.
yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, and again, like it loses a bit of the energy of the original soundtrack, but I just like it because it taps into a lot of what was of stuff that is present in the F-Zero soundtrack for sure. Like there is definitely a bit of a jazz fusion tinge to it. And also, I would say Pilot Wings is the other one that has that sort of jazz fusion / sort of like city pop kind of vibe going for it. I'm not sure if that ever got an official remix album like this did, but
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. So yeah, I think we're just going to jump
Before,
right into that.
Before we do that, I would like to pitch my what the next F-Zero should be.
You said you were going to do that. Go ahead. Go off.
It is based on the recent kind of indie racing game, Victory Heat Rally.
Oh yeah.
Which is it's a bit more kind of like Mario Kart in vein, in terms of it's about like doing the slides to get the dash boosts and stuff. But I think that it's pep is what F-Zero needs. Like each world that you go to has very has a bunch of different kind of races. Like you have a rally, you have a chase, and you kind of just have like a quick 2-lap race, and then it finishes with the Grand Prix. And so by the time you get to the Grand Prix, you're sort of used to the way that they design the tracks in this world. Like some of them have mud, but aren't very don't have a lot of hairpin turns. Some of them have like a lot of kind of like barriers and hairpin turns, stuff like that. But by the time you get to the Grand Prix, it's you know what's going on. The important thing is I think F-Zero would benefit by being a little bit more like Super Meat Boy, which
Yeah.
is that all the races should be very fast and you should be able to just restart immediately. And it's just like with the second you hit restart, it's like 3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah, I
And
would agree
just
with
have
that.
it structured like that, so it could be the overly insane, different environments type of game. You could have a lot of different characters you could unlock. You get first on this one, you unlock the ability to take the secret pass. And who's there? Dr. Marshall. Remember him? That's crazy. And so that is my pitch for it. Nintendo, I was expecting a check for $350,000 sometime in the next 90 days. Thank
Yeah, Nintendo,
Sounds
send Reese a
reasonable.
check, please.
you. Yeah.
She needs the money.
Correct.
Fantastic, yeah. You have mentioned that game to me before, actually, and I still haven't gotten around to trying it out, but I did watch a couple of videos of it, and yeah, it looks cool as hell.
It's honestly fucking incredible. I'm not much of a racing game person, but friend of the show, Boyne, was talking it up and bought it for me. And I played it and I was
nice.
like, this is the fucking sickest shit I've ever played. It's really fun. And it's like, I think you mentioned, Tom, is just like, it's like the dream, like, GBA game in terms of like its style. And I found that to be like very on point. It's like you just sort of like very, very kind of like low res pixel, but like, very designed for 2025. It's cool. Check it out.
Yeah, it's
Very
been on
cool.
my radar. It's been on my. I saw when it came out, and I was like, "Ooh, this is interesting," and added it to my Steam wish list, and there it has sat for an extended period of time.
Good old Steam
One of these
wishlist.
days, I will purchase it.
Yeah, I'm sure
and then
it'll
sit in
be.
my Steam library for an extended period of time.
Yeah, and then the next month it'll be on the Humble Bundle.
Yeah, there you go.
The
Yeah.
month after you buy it.
Yeah.
Indeed. All right, so let's get our jazz fusion on. So from this album, I have 4 tracks. I've got Big Blue, Silence, Death Wind, and the ending theme. What an absolute vibe.
Toss salad and scrambled eggs. Call it again. That was incredible. I'm fucking stunned. I gotta be honest.
Yeah. No, again, like just brought that home one day from college and was just like, time to listen to some normal F-Zero music. And yeah, it got fucking blown off. Yeah, and it was fucking it's a great soundtrack, like a great arranged soundtrack, I should say. And yeah, just like the incredible sax playing and just like I was reading up on the sax player. He's just done a bunch of the Sims soundtracks later in his career, and then went on to be in the live band for the Doobie Brothers. So shout out to Mark Russo.
Yeah, you kept unveiling these facts in the middle of the. It's like, oh, is there a lot of Sim City soundtracks? It's like, of course. What else would somebody
Yeah.
saxing this hard do? Oh, the Doobie Brothers. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, no, that's very
Makes
few things
sense.
are right with the world, but that is. Yeah, that was really
Indeed.
fun.
Yeah.
That was a nice counterbalance.
Indeed, yeah. And sadly, Scott had to jump off in the middle of the last block there. So thanks again to Scott for joining us.
Yeah,
again,
the last minute we dragooned
yeah.
him into this, and really appreciated.
Yeah, well, I put a post in the Discord, and he was the first person to reach out to me. And like quite literally, at the moment, we're sort of flying by the seat of their pants. I usually have a lot more stuff planned in advance. And sorry to people who are waiting to get to hear back from me. But we'll be back to normal soon enough.
Yeah. I too, I've been a little difficult just because I haven't known what my plans are, and I was just kind of like, I'm just sitting here in my apartment now. Can we record? And Tom was like, Yes, Reese, we can record. And I really appreciate it. Honestly, my energy, my HP level was at one HP flashing. And now I'm fully rejuvenated.
I'm pleased to hear
I
that.
need those. I need to pod to survive.
And what a pod we had.
Yeah, we had a lot to say about F-Zero. I didn't think I had that much to say about F-Zero.
I mean, honestly, as much as I love F-Zero, I didn't think we'd have that much to say about it either. But I'm glad we were we had a chat about it, because it's like an iconic soundtrack, and it's a series that I have been a big fan of for a while, and in large part because of the music. And and as I say, the first game in the series is the one that I always sort of come back to. I enjoy all of them, but it's that first game, the one that I'm just like, if I'm too stoned to do something, to play a normal game or something, it'll often be the game that I just sort of stick on for a while just to zone out. And yeah, it's
Perfect.
just a great little game. It's not the most sort of sophisticated game in the world, but it doesn't need to be. It does exactly what it sets out to do, and I think it does it perfectly.
Yeah, I've fallen in love with it. I think I've appreciated it the most in the journey of this podcast. Although I did always like these different aspects of it, but then you would mention these moments, or I would listen to silence or whatever, and be like, "Man, this jams. Man, this is cool." And so like through it, now I'm one of those F-Zero sickos that say there should be another one, and there's never gonna be another one, and I'm gonna be upset.
Yeah, it's a tough life to live. I'm sorry, Reese.
It's
Sorry to bring you in on it.
no, it's what I want. All right, well, I gotta pee, so I'm gonna say let's wrap up here.
Yeah, let's wrap up. The last track we're going to play is going to be from Mario Kart 8. It's the results screen. So as mentioned, there's a couple of a couple of the tracks ended up in Mario Kart 8 as as a little nod, they're absolutely brilliant. Like they're really, really good tracks. They're really fun to race in the Mario Kart 8 engine. But it's also kind of bittersweet knowing that this is all we're going to get for a long, long time. And like a lot of Mario Kart 8, the soundtrack is absolutely fantastic. So yeah, thanks for joining me again, Reese. Thanks to Scott.
Yep.
We'll post links for Scott's socials in the description as always. Reese, have you got anything you want to plug at the moment?
Just the other podcasts. Video games are the worst thing on earth. Existential Warfare. They're in the notes. Listen to all. If you've already listened to them, listen to them again. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and go and support Reese on her GoFundMe. I'll put a link to that in the show notes as well. She needs money to move across the country to get away from just the shit of America.
Red State American nonsense.
Yeah,
And it's absolutely. Please donate. Please donate.
yeah.
And
so,
do you have anything to promote, Tom? Perhaps this podcast that we're talking
just this
on?
very podcast, yeah. Again, links are going to be in the description. We've got a link tree for everything. There's Discord, Patreon, bonus episodes on the Patreon. I'm gonna try and put one up again soon. I just again need to work out the logistics of getting more stuff up at the while Reese is in the middle of moving. But I've definitely got some more bonus and mini episodes in the pipeline for future consumption. You get a higher bitrate download if you're on the Patreon as well. And every bonus episode is free on the Patreon. You don't actually need to be a subscriber. You can just go there and listen. I'm not sort of interested in withholding content specifically, but those episodes are a little bit harder to get away with on the public feeds, unfortunately. So
we've been punished once already.
Yeah, we've gotten the smackdown on those before. So yeah,
for Mario Party. Come on.
You're really determined to make it be Mario Party that did it.
I haven't heard any evidence that it's not Mario Party.
Yeah,
and I feel like I
wouldn't tell me.
The strongest evidence is Mario Party. It was the most recent episode. It's Nintendo. We go ham. It's I feel like that's the one where we triggered the eye of Bowser.
Yeah. Could be that, yeah. Link to the Discord is in the show notes as well. Come and hang out in the Discord with us. I'm usually pretty active in there. It's nice and quiet, but I'm pretty much always just in there, just posting links and shit to music.
Yeah. And sometimes just kind of somebody will come in who is a some sort of like audio electrical genius and just like show the most insane project you've ever seen. And it's really cool. So come check it out.
Yeah, come check it out. So last track then, as I said, is the F-Zero result screen from the Mario Kart 8 soundtrack. Thank you for joining me again, Reese. Thank you to Scott, and thank you everyone for listening. I love you. Bye.
Thanks everybody. Bye bye.